is MC J.B.
Yo, I'm Baby D.
Hey, what's up? I'm Sassy C.
And we're JJ Fad.
What sparked that sense of, I want to get into music?
Just had friends that were already into music and just found it interesting. And then when we finally, during the time where I was older, we heard East Coast rap, and I was like, hey, we could do that. And he was like, yep, you sure can. It was Arabian Prince, who's a former member of NWA. So he's the one that produced us and got us started in the business. So I just told him I wanted to do it, and he was down. So we just did it.
but when you were signed to Ruthless, or before you were signed to Ruthless, that you had these albums out, these singles out?
Yeah, we wrote it before we had a deal. So we already had the song pretty much done. Arabian had produced it. We went to LA Dream Team Records first. And then they kind of pushed it out a little bit, and then we went from there to Ruthless because Eazy-E had a conversation with Rudy Pardee, and then all of a sudden we weren't on LA Dream Team anymore. We were on Ruthless. So. Our album had to come out first before that one did. We'd heard some singles, but we hadn't heard. They were working on the album, and then they made Dre stop everything they were doing and do ours first to help legitimize the label because they knew we were pretty mainstream. So they wanted to make sure Ruthless Records was out there as a legitimate label instead of one that's like underground.
Okay.
So that's why they pushed us out first. So our album came out first, and then NWA's album came out, and our album helped fund their. Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's hopefully I've had enough coffee to keep me going.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So the rest, the other two members of the group, they weren't able to join us today.
No, they're at work.
Okay. Yeah. What part of California are you?
Central California by Fresno.
Fresno. Okay. I used to in the 90s. I lived out in Redondo Beach for about a couple of years. Yes. Yes. Okay. So my name is Nnamdi. Based out here in the UK. Now, I'm trying to. Is it
Wana?
But
you can call me JB.
JB, okay, Wana, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was okay. Just wanted to get it settled out. Okay. So we're gonna start Wana, and and just go through things. So definitely want to welcome you to Halftime Chat, and one of the things that we're doing really is to celebrate our groups and artists, both hip hop and R&B, because a lot of us, we were used to seeing you guys on, say, BET, Video Soul, MTV and stuff, but we only heard about the music. But this is really about learning the journey and stories behind the music, and then seeing where you guys are right now. But I always think we have an international audience, and it would be great to know where you and JJ Fad really are from.
Sounds good.
Yes,
good.
Yes. But if we start off, Wana, where were you sort of born and raised?
Well, I was born in Spain, but was raised in Rialto, California, along with Baby D. She's from Rialto, California as well, and then Sassy C is from Los Angeles.
You were born in Spain.
Yes.
Okay. Are your parents Spanish, or what was the?
My dad was in the military.
Okay. And so hence he gave you a Spanish name.
Yes.
Wow. and then coming back to the States with a Spanish name, especially California, that had a lot of Latin Americans, Hispanic. How was that for you?
It was easy. A lot of people that were not Spanish would mispronounce my name, call me Joanna or Juna or, something with the J.
Yes.
They weren't familiar with using it as a Juana. So growing up in school, I got a lot of mispronunciation of my name.
Okay. And then did people suspect that you were Puerto Rican or Latin American?
They did. And even with my look, they were like, oh, we could tell.
Yes. Okay. So how old were you when you moved back to the States?
4.
Now, how old were you when you moved back to America?
4 years old.
4 years old, okay. And you're coming back in. What was your sort of influence? I mean, at home. I mean, I'm thinking in those days, you know, musically, what were you listening to at home and from your parents?
Yeah, we were listening to Al Green, Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, you know, all the old R&B heroes of my parents' time. We were listening to that in the house. So I knew all the oldies, still do and love them to this day.
Okay. And then for yourself then, did you get into, were you even considering music as a career as a kid, or how did that change?
No, it was a spur of the moment thing. I was a competitive roller skater. So I was into sports a lot when I was growing up, all the way until I was an adult. I was a competitive roller skater and also did cheerleading. So I was always very active in the sports realm, nothing with music. And then, so it just kind of happened as I got older. I was cheering for the LA Express, which is a professional football team out here. I was cheering for them, and I just kind of met the right people and got to know some friends that did music. And I was like, hey, I want to do music. And they were like, okay, let's do it. And that's really how it started. Wow.
Now, for some of us who aren't in America, being a competitive roller skater, I mean, we see it as a hobby, but back when you were doing it, you mentioned being competitive. What did you mean by that?
It's just like you see at the Olympics, the figure skating on ice.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing, but I did it on wheels.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is it still happening now, or was it?
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Okay.
Yeah, skating is big in America.
Yeah, as I said, we've seen. I think Usher, he did something out of Rockefeller, but it felt like it was more of a pastime, a hobby. But I didn't realize.
Yes, that type of skating is the kind I did was very competitive.
Okay.
I don't know if you can refer back to the Supersonic video, but there's a part where I'm skating and I'm doing a spin. Yeah, that was from the competitive roller skating.
Wow, and so. Were you really into this, and what were you thinking during those days? You know, doing the competitive roller skating, doing cheerleading. Did you even how old were you then when you were sort of in the midst of doing that?
I was 8 when I started skating, and then I skated all the way until I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the cheer was just along with that during middle school and high school.
Yeah, and by the time you got to say 18, then what was your musical influences at that point in time?
I think at that time it was more, let's see, because hip hop hadn't really taken off yet at that point. Yeah. So what were we listening to? Like Men Without Hats and like just the regular top 40 stuff that was on the air. No hip hop though.
Yeah.
That came a little bit later.
Yeah. And but then when you decided to, because you mentioned about having that sense of, you know what, I actually want to get into music. What sparked that sense of, you know, I want to get into music?
Just had friends that were already into music and just found it interesting. And then when we finally, during the time where I was older, we heard East Coast rap, and I was like, hey, we could do that. And he was like, yep, you sure can. It was Arabian Prince, who's a former member of NWA. So he's the one that produced us and got us started in the business. So I just told him I wanted to do it, and he was down. So we just did it.
But you know, by that time though, were there any female? I mean, was Salt-n-Pepa out?
Yeah, they were out, and they were one of the reasons why I wanted to do it is because they represented the East Coast, and I was like, hey, if there can be a girl group representing the East, there needs to be one representing the West. So that was a major reason why I wanted to get started and start the whole group.
Wow. Okay. But then, why hip hop? Why not R&B?
Because hip hop was new. And it was something that people were really getting into and no one had heard of. And it didn't require that you knew how to carry a tune or sing a note. You just had to be melodic and flow. It's like more like poetry.
Yeah. But what did you, and I guess, you know, there's difference between us just rapping along to a song, but also having that confidence to write the lyrics and stuff. Was that something you were doing prior to saying, approaching a Raven Prince and saying, yeah, I want to put the group together? Were you already doing that?
No.
Rapping? Okay.
I thought you almost fell up the stairs. No, not at all. It was just something we did on a whim.
Wow. Okay. Did you have to audition?
No.
I
held the audition.
Okay. No, I was saying, did you have to audition the other two to say, okay, let's, and did you have an idea as to how many you wanted in the group, or what was the whole vision that you had at the time?
Yeah, I held an audition in my mom's den. Once Arabian Prince and I established that we were going to start a group, I held an audition in my mom's den.
Okay.
And that's when we got the other members. Originally, there were 5 of us, and then we dwindled down to 3.
Okay. And then at that time, when you here's the 5 of you, here's the 3 of you, you know, coming together. I mean, did you seriously at that time think, you know, we can actually make it, or what was it? What was the vision at that? It
was more for fun. It wasn't with any aspirations of being rich or any aspirations of being famous. It was just, this can be fun, and we can represent the West Coast, and hopefully people will see us. There was no big thing like pipe dreams or anything like that. We just wanted to have fun and do something new. Yeah.
And just before the group takes off, did you even have a sort of, you know, 18, 20? Did you have a sense of career, where, you know, job and what you were doing?
Kind of, but not really, because we were that's still young. You know, we were still considered young, so we were just flying by the seat of our pants, doing what we wanted to do. We didn't really think about it until, you know, later in life.
Okay. So I mean, the group. So I was okay. You guys, the 3 of you together, and what was the process of actually just coming up and creating music? Was it easy just to rap over a beat?
Yeah, it was. We got ideas together on what we wanted to do, what we wanted to rap about. Like the very first thing we did when we came out is we just came out dissing everybody on the East Coast.
Okay.
So, because we figured that's the way people are gonna hear us and listen to us and be like, oh, they're not playing, you know. So we did that first, and it's funny because people actually flipped the record over, and Supersonic was the B-side. So we would go and play this diss record, and everybody be like, ooh, ooh, but they didn't really couldn't dance to it. You know, it wasn't really a dance song. And one DJ flipped it over, and that was it. It took off from that point.
Yeah, you know, for the audience who may be a bit younger, what is the B-side? Well, because they were saying, what's B-side? So I don't want people to think as if, okay, yeah.
Right. Okay. So albums, vinyl. We used to be on vinyl.
Okay.
So the A side would be your most popular song, and if you flip the vinyl over, there was the B side. So the B side is the one that had Supersonic, and the A side was our little joint called Another Hoe.
And who are you guys dishing in That's Another Hoe?
Everybody. We just Roxanne Shante, Salt-n-Pepa, Sparky D. Shoot, I think that was a 3 on that one. Yeah, those 3 on that one. And then we came back and did more.
Did they ever get to hear it and respond?
Oh, yeah. They answered back.
And when did you realize that, okay, we're actually onto something?
Yeah. When you get a response from those ladies, when you get a response, you know that you struck a chord.
Who responded first?
Roxanne Shante.
Oh, and she was big on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And by the time they came out, I was going to high school in Nigeria, so we knew about this. So I mean, to imagine, you know, and I guess some of my guests don't recognize when you guys have done big when you're in Nigeria at that point in time in those late 80s, early 90s. We were getting these records as well. But if they're responding back, were you getting a lot of buzz in California that, wow, you guys are
Yeah, we did. We got a lot like, oh, we heard that song, you guys, that was crazy. You know, we got a lot of buzz on both coasts, you know. So it was pretty cool. But, you know, it was fun for us because by that time Supersonic was taken off, and then she responded back after Supersonic came out. So we had a lot of fans at that point. They were like, you guys better go back and get her. So then we did another diss song on her.
Yeah. Now, I guess, you know, I mean, the way we see the music industry now is quite different but then. But so you are releasing these songs. It's almost as if you're releasing them online and getting it viral through social media? Because do you need a record label just to push it across, or is it just the radio stations playing it, and it was very independent? What was it like?
It was a combination of both, because by the time Supersonic came out, we were on Ruthless Records. So we were already under that Ruthless umbrella with NWA and Eazy-E. So they would help us write some of those, lyrics and help us push stuff out there pretty quick. So we had a major label at that time.
Okay. So, but when you started though, when you started and you came up with this record, I take it that this was stuff done independent between you guys and Raven Print.
Yes, and we had a street team that we hired to just go to different clubs and just push the record. So we were pretty much doing it on our own.
And who wrote the lyrics then for not the diss track but Supersonic? Okay.
Yeah, that was all us.
Okay, and at that point in time, did you guys understand what the publishing stuff was and what you're writing, ownerships and things like that?
No, but we had a really good manager who understood all of that and made sure that our, everything was right with we have our own publishing company. He made sure of that.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's you probably heard his name. It's Jerry Heller. Yeah. And so some people have different experiences than we did. We had a great experience with Jerry. He was like an uncle. Mm-hmm.
But when you were doing that, before you met him though, before you met Eazy and got to Ruthless, did you guys already have, because you're writing this stuff before, were you writing when you were signed to Ruthless, or before you were signed to Ruthless that you had these albums out, these singles out?
Yeah, we wrote it before we had a deal. So we already had the song pretty much done. Arabian had produced it. We went to LA Dream Team Records first. And then they kind of pushed it out a little bit, and then we went from there to Ruthless because Eazy had a conversation with Rudy Pardee, and then all of a sudden we weren't on LA Dream Team anymore. We were on Ruthless. So.
Oh goodness! So
yeah, it was weird how it happened. We always laugh and say, "Oh, we got bought by Eazy-E."
Okay. But did you know Eazy by the time you got approached to join Ruthless?
No. We didn't know him. We knew of him, but we didn't know him.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
And by the time you joined Ruthless, had they come out with America's Most Wanted?
No. Our album, but Compton's most.
Compton's most.
What was it? I forget.
Straight Out of Compton.
Straight Out of Compton. Thank you. No, because our album had to come out first before that one did. We'd heard some singles, but we hadn't heard. They were working on the album, and then they made Dre stop everything they were doing and do ours first to help legitimize the label, because they knew we were pretty mainstream. So they wanted to make sure Ruthless Records was out there as a legitimate label instead of one that's like underground.
Okay.
So that's why they pushed us out first. So our album came out first, and then NWA's album came out, and our album helped fund their album.
Wow. And so and I guess, as I said, Jerry Heller gets parodied in especially when Dre was at Death Row and then in the film. So we had this very different image of him. But when he signed you, did he give you an understanding about the industry, the business, publishing points, and all that in those early days?
Yes, yeah, because we had to sign a contract under them. So I'm not going to say that we were well versed in, we probably should have hired a lawyer and had them look. We didn't do any of that stuff. We were still young. Baby D was 16. So, she's signing a contract that she's not even supposed to be signing because she's not of legal age. Wow. And her mom didn't sign. So there's just a lot of the stuff that you wouldn't see nowadays that happened back then.
Yeah, but it seems as if you actually got a better deal than most R&B acts did.
Yeah, we did at the time, and but looking back, it could have been better. Like one of the contracts said for the lifetime of the song or something. We're like, wait a minute, not for the lifetime, our lifetime. Like, oh heck no, So we've had some issues with Eric's wife and trying to get our stuff back from her. We're at 35 years, so we're already doing a reversion. So it'll only be a matter of time before we have our own masters.
Okay. But so at that young age, though, here you are being presented with, Easy a contract, a label. Did you guys have to talk to your parents and say, guys, look what's happening?
Yeah, Sassy C and I were over 18, so we told them what was happening, of course, but they didn't have to sign anything. And then Baby D's mom just like, girl, just sign it. So, yeah, you're young and excited, and you don't think about that kind of stuff. You're just like, let's do this so we can get our record out.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't advise that for people now at all.
yeah. But again, we're seeing. We've seen Salt-n-Pepa, make top of the charts and big internationally. So that sense of we could be like them, especially, I could just imagine the dollar signs flashing and stuff.
Yeah, I don't even really think we thought about that. I think we just more wanted to make a name for ourselves. I don't think we thought about the money at that time. We just thought about being out there and making a stamp for the West Coast.
Yeah, but then did you even think? So you didn't think about it being a career? 10 albums. Okay.
Not at that age. We were just having fun.
Wow. And then the name JJ Fad. Then, people would always ask, where did that come from?
Yeah. So originally, when I said we had 5, it was the initials for everyone's name.
Okay.
So it was Juana, Juanita, Fatima, Anna, and Dania. But when we went down to 3, before we went to Ruthless, we changed it to just Jammin', Fresh, and Def because we liked our name. We didn't want to change it.
Okay. Jam and Fresh.
Fresh and Def.
Okay. But then how did it, just the name that we know it now as JJ Fad, how did that, whose idea was it just say, let's just call you guys JJ Fad?
Like I said, when there was 5 of us, it was just everybody's initials.
Oh, no, but
yeah. But
when
then there was 5.
Yeah. But then when you went to Ruthless and keeping it like that, you decided just to keep it like that, even though 2 had left?
Yes, absolutely. Because we had already kind of made a name for ourselves a little bit. There was already a buzz. So we didn't want to go back and change the name like it was a whole new group. So.
Oh, then you added the sort of the Jam and Fresh in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you added
it. Which was cool because Jerry, like I said, he was good to us. Like he made it so that the 2 that left could never, ever, 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 ever use that name again.
Wow.
So it's our name, it's trademarked, like they couldn't use it anymore. So they wouldn't have been able to start a new group and say they were JJ Fad.
Okay. And and I think a lot of us would watch all these biopics and we'd see the groups in those early days and stuff. And when you look back at the time you're about to sign, in your mind, did you think that this is going to change your life, or did you think, it'll be a nice little, or what did you think when you were just signing and joining? Was there a sense of, because if we watch the movie, are we going to see you talking to the rest and say, this is going to change our lives, we're going to be rich, and this is going to be the start of a new future? Or what would you think we'd see you guys say?
We just thought we were going to have fun. Like we were going to get to travel, we're going to have fun. Like I said, I think the money was like literally the last things on our mind. We just wanted to be out there, sing, do what we loved, rap, do what we love, hit the stage. All 3 of us have always been in the spotlight, so to speak. So we all love to entertain. So that was just the biggest thing to us, is mostly, being able to entertain people. So
I don't know what year did you sign with Ruthless?
88.
88. Wow, that's so. And as I said, it was. And what would you say was different between the West Coast hip hop at the time when you guys started compared to what we were more familiar with the East Coast?
I think the difference is the beats per minute. Pretty much, we were a more dance-oriented coast in the beginning, and they were more hardcore hip hop, or more. I would say, like, not really more lyricists, because we had just as good as lyrics that they did, but we put it to faster music.
Yeah.
And theirs was a little bit slower.
How easy was it to learn to rap? Because it's, it almost, you tell the stories like, look what Salt-n-Pepa did. Yeah, let's start a hip hop group. It seems, was it easy just to be able to?
It came natural. It came natural to us.
Oh.
It really did. I mean, I wish I could tell you, we were in the studio for hours, like it just wasn't like that.
Yeah.
we just did it. That's just what we wanted to do, and we just did it. It just really came natural to us.
And then were you guys doing shows around LA and stuff?
Yeah, we were doing little independent shows. We used to do this club called the Casa. That's where all the new artists went to do that. So we would do skating rinks. We would do a lot of little venues. So yeah, we did the small circuit.
Yeah. And then what was it like actually performing live compared to when you were on a record? Because then that's a different pressure, getting everyone involved and trying to get them engaged. That must have been a very different type of skill.
No, that's the part that we do best. That's the part that we love the best, is because we have always been entertainers. So that's what drives us. We get energy from the audience and they give us energy, and that's what drives us. So that's our favorite part of actually being entertainers, is entertaining.
Oh, wow. And did you ever bring in the skates on the stage as you're rapping, or did that?
No, that's a good idea. We probably should have.
Is it too late? You said you have a show in Philly. Are you able to do that, or is that long gone?
I don't want to break a hip. We're not 20 no more.
Okay. No. Okay, so how was it like when you did first meet Eazy then? Because you guys just signed up and stuff. And I doubt if the time you signed he had released anything. So would you have known him as Eazy, the record executive, or did you know him as? I don't think he had rapped or anything. So
we knew him as Eric, the little guy who started a record label that got his money from drugs.
Oh.
That's all we knew.
Wow. Were you guys not afraid?
No, because the persona that he has, not in front of the world, was way different than the persona that he had behind closed doors. Eric was very, very nice. He treated us like little princesses. He made sure we had food. He made sure we had whatever we needed when we were in the studio. We loved him and he loved us. It was a very special relationship.
Okay. And I guess what we see on films are very much the Straight Outta Compton movie. These are a lot more glamorized and stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so, you guys in the studio, because you've been in the studio prior to meeting them, did Dre then get involved in doing more work for you?
Yes. We actually scrapped the whole Supersonic song and redid it with Dre. So out there in the world, there's two versions.
Okay.
So, but the one with that Dre did, where he put his magic on it, there's more bass, there's more bottom. It's just a whole different sound. So that's the one that really took off and took us all the way to gold.
But then, is it Arabian Prince?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like telling him, thanks, but no thanks? I mean,
he was involved. He was involved too, because at that time he was with NWA.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was involved too. Okay. So Dre did the major production, and he was involved because he was there from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
At that point in time, we know everyone will know Dre as one of the greatest producers, not just in hip hop. Could you tell at that point when you were working with him that he had something different about him as a producer when you were in the studio?
Yeah, he was all about business. Like, he was fun. We had a blast in the studio with him, but he's a perfectionist. So literally we would sometimes do 60 takes before he would be like, okay, that's the one. He was very much a perfectionist. Sometimes we were like, oh my gosh, we did it 50 million times. But he's like, you don't want to put it out halfway, do you? We're like, no. So we appreciate it now. But back then it was like, oh my gosh, somebody else, please.
Yeah.
But no, he gave us work ethic, and that's what I love the most.
Yeah. Wow. And so here we are, you're producing the album, and when did you realize Supersonic was really the main record? Because did Ruthless see it as we're going to go with Supersonic and forget the diss record? So what was their approach?
They knew, because it already had a little bit of a buzz, and we had already known that the diss record was not going to be the single. So he knew that too. So we just concentrated on that.
Okay.
So he wanted to concentrate on that record to keep pushing it over to the top.
Yeah, and did you realize how far it reached? As I said, I can remember I was in high school in Nigeria when the record came out, and so you're not just going from east to west coast. You're going not just in Europe, but you're also going to Africa as well. Did you realize how big the song was?
No, I didn't. That's the first time I'm hearing that. That's amazing. No, we didn't know that. That we thought it was, I know that there's some international, like Brazil. It's big in Brazil. But that's like recent. So I didn't know, how big the reach was in the beginning. I think the time that we knew that this was bigger than what we thought it was when we were invited to do the Run's House tour. And that was the first national hip hop tour ever. And they invited us, and we were the only West Coast group that they invited. So to be a part of that whole tour, the Run's House tour in the 80s, was amazing. That's like the best experience of my life.
Wow. Yeah, it was big in Nigeria. I mean, and as Salt-n-Pepa were big, so that was big, and so although most of us, it took a while before we could connect because you came up before NWA and stuff.
Yeah.
When the song is blowing up and you're doing a video, what's the family's reaction seeing this sort of dream turn into this sort of mega hit like this?
Just pride. Like, our families were so proud of us, and proud of what we accomplished and the work that we did to put into the album. And they were just proud. Like, your parents think, oh Lord, here she goes again with some new project. They don't really think. And then when it hits, they're like, oh wow, okay, well, you guys really did that, and they're very, very proud. Yeah.
So you're going on this tour. When did you guys then get to meet Roxanne and Salt-n-Pepa?
Just on the road. Like, at first it was a little difficult. We tried, they kind of shied away from us a little bit, but it's funny because now we're super close to Roxanne Shante, and we're close to Salt-n-Pepa too. So, and they know, and we know, back then it was all about, there was never anything personal. It was just all about who could dog the other the most, but it was never, we didn't know them. So we couldn't say that it was very personal, because it wasn't.
Yeah. And so, but, so the record's going on, are you guys going on a national promotional tour, or is it just mainly within the West Coast?
No, we went on a national tour. The Run's House tour was national.
Okay.
Not international, but national.
No, but I'm talking about the promotion of the album. Do you apart from that Run's House stuff, do you guys do separate sort of promotional tours, or was that the main thing?
Yeah, the record label did. Yeah, they did all the promo stuff. We didn't have to really do anything once we got to Ruthless, and then the distributor was Atlantic Atco. So we didn't really have to do anything. They did all the work.
Okay, no, but so apart from the tour with the hip hop tour, you didn't do separate individual tour. You didn't do your own tours, but you went on this major.
Yeah, we did. We did like NWA's tour. We were on that. We did some shows with Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, but as far as headlining a tour, no.
Okay, yeah. And so, the album, the album's out, and you're promoting it and things. And I think I remember seeing you guys on saying, is it the same guy? It was what was it?
Same game.
The same game. Okay, because I think the East Coast was this done after Self-Destruction, or was it done before Self-Destruction?
I think ours came out first, and then theirs came out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So in the midst of this, when by the time NWA, so after yours is coming out and they've generated this revenue and they're coming out with NWA, did you guys ever get to feature with NWA?
Yeah, we were on a lot of their album. You can hear like a lot of when they have background vocals. We're all through their album.
Okay, but not as we see hip hop artists featuring, like, okay, they rap.
Oh no.
Okay.
When we finished our album, they started theirs, and when they were doing theirs, we were on the road.
Okay.
So we weren't in the studio at the same time after our album went out, because we were out there on the road and they were in the studio doing their album. So we would come back, we would do background stuff only.
Okay. And was Michelle signed to them as well at the time as well?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, did you? Most of us used to think that was her voice was sort of fake. Was it when you first met her? and she sings and then she spoke. Was that a surprise for you?
Oh yeah, we thought it was fake too in the beginning, but we were around her a lot and it never changed. So we were like, oh, okay, well, this is real. So it's just hard to believe that comes out of, her mouth, and then she belts out this low voice and her singing voice. We're like, wait a minute, but it's true. It's real.
Okay, it's real. So after you finish touring and promoting the first album, what happens next?
So we were about 2 years on the road. So we come back and, we're ready to do the second album. But by this time, NWA's album's done, Eazy-E's album's done. Dre has become a household name. So now he's in demand. So Mary J. Blige, Eve, like all these artists want him to do work. So he's making all these commitments and making all this money being a producer. So when it came time for us to do our second album, he's like, yeah, I'm totally going to do your second album, but you got to wait like a year and a half. We're like, a year and a half? Like, we're coming off a major hit. If we wait a year and a half, they're not going to remember who we are. So he's like, Yella can do it, because Yella co-produces with him. He goes, Yella can do it and Arabian can do it. And I was like, okay, but that's not Dre. So anyway, the second album, Arabian and Yella produced, and it didn't do as well as we had hoped. So after that album didn't do well, we kind of wanted to concentrate on our families. So we all kind of left the music business for a little bit. We never broke up. We just left the music business and worked on our own individual lives.
So what if you look back at the second album with because Yella was known as a good producer, and you started up with Raid. What do you think was different with the tracks that you put together, and what it changed from you guys? Was it the hunger left, or what was different?
No, I think that we changed. Like, you have a set of core fans that want to hear the same kind of music all the time, and we kind of switched it up and went a little house music. So I think the sound was different because it wasn't what people were expecting us to do.
Because if you look back now, with that in hindsight, what would you thought you should have done to sort of keep the momentum going? What kind of tracks would you think you would have done?
There was really good tracks on the second album. I just think we chose the wrong initial track, which was We in the House. I just think we probably should have tried to stay more along that Supersonic feel, so those base of fans could still enjoy the music instead of trying to switch directions. So I think that was where the mistake was made, but I mean, you never know. Yeah. You never know with the music business.
Yeah, but then also so by what year did you guys go back in the studio to work on the second album?
That was 1991.
91. So New Jack Swing was really big then, and I think I almost think that hip hop in the East Coast was changing, and so the music was changing slightly. Do you Jodeci, I think, would have been coming out, or were they out? And
yeah.
So I'm just wondering about how the music industry had switched slightly, and how that might have affected the type of sounds that you guys were doing.
It could have. I mean, you never know.
Yeah. And so how was that like? Because it started so easy for you guys, and success came so quickly, which is great. How did you then handle the sort of disappointment of your follow-up album not having the same success?
Hold on one sec.
Okay.
The January 6th hearings are on, and I don't want to miss it, so I'm recording it.
Okay.
Okay, so I think the initial shock was weird, like we were used to being in the studio every day, and we're really used to, getting in there with them and just doing what we love to do. So then we had to think, okay, so now we have to really make a living. So the best thing that happened to me was my mom was like, you need to go back to school and you need to find a trade, because this is not going to last forever. So you figure it out. And since my dad was military, I was able to go to school free. So I went to dental assisting school, and became a dental assistant, and then I became a nurse. So now I'm a nurse and I work as a school nurse right now. So I made sure that my mom made sure that I had something to fall back on.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so, so in the midst of the and it's not like, because people would assume that with a big hit and an album that you guys made, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and so you could sit back and relax. But you realize the way that the money was trickling in, that it wasn't sustainable, that if it's no second album, it won't continue.
Right. And you got to remember, you have all those advances that you have to pay back.
Oh, did you know about that?
You have an advance, and then you make video, that's your money that's making that video. So it doesn't just, that's not free money. That's money that they recoup when you make it.
But did you guys know about that when you started off, that this is?
They tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's part of the business. Like, nobody can just have free money. Like, all, musicians have to get their money recouped.
Yeah. Okay. And then okay. So the album's not doing well. I mean, is there conversation? Who's with Eazy, or were they so busy with the success of NWA and his album that they took the spotlight, they took the eye off of what you guys were doing?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Yeah, they were busy doing other things, so we just kind of walked away quietly. You know what I mean? Like, there was not really a discussion. Okay, well, we're leaving. Like, it was nothing like that. We just kind of walked away quietly, just did our own thing and started our lives and raised our children, and that's how it went.
Wow. But were you guys not still signed to Ruthless and owing them another album, or did they just say, yeah, we're making so much money they can leave, or what was it?
Probably. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah, we were still signed to them. So it was up to us. He let, if you guys want to come back and try again, yeah, we can come back. But at that time, we were wanting to get our families together.
Okay.
So the door was always open. Yeah.
And then, so you guys, in a sense, you walk away, you go back to school, get a professional degree, and as you left, you started to see what was happening between Dre going to Death Row, Eazy, and so. Did that catch you by surprise, watching the whole drama unfold?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did. It was very surprising. I think the most surprising thing was when Ice Cube left. That's the part that we were like, wow, that's really something that we never in a million years would have thought.
Yeah, because he's actually the one who first gave us that sense of they owed him money. And so it's very different that you fed, oh, Jerry's our manager, he did well for us. But he was the one he left due to, from what we were hearing from him, was because of Jerry and Eazy not treating him fairly with his money. So, and so that's why it's always a surprise to hear a very different take from somebody who's had a different experience. Yeah,
very different. But you have to remember too that we were young, and the fact that we didn't have anybody read, or we're not saying he did us wrong, because I still to this day don't think that he did. I think we were girls and he was very good to us. But I do think that the contract probably could have been better, and we should have had someone look at it. So I would never recommend that somebody not have somebody look at a contract. But as far as the way he treated us, as far as him being very transparent about where the money was going, was always the way Jerry was with us.
Yeah. And I guess you're probably right. Maybe he just saw you guys as daughters, and I'll look after you, and things might have been different elsewhere. Yeah. But then when Dre leaves to form his own label, and it becomes a sort of mudslinging. You guys were still in LA. You probably was that also further sort of surprise about how Death Row, especially how the industry changed and became this multi-billion-dollar industry after you guys left? What was your thoughts about everything?
We were happy. We were happy for them, as individuals, because we all had special relationships with each one of them. So we were happy that they were being successful and they were doing their thing. We were really proud about that. We hated to see the whole thing break up, because we were all such a big, huge family. We were just like family. So it was hard to see everybody kind of go their separate ways, but we were proud that they were still doing their thing.
And during that time, was there ever a sense of, well, I missed this, let's go back? Or were you done and like, that's it, turn your back?
Well, we started getting involved in our kids' lives. Like they do sports, they do all kinds of stuff. So we were content being moms.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we were very content being moms. And the only time we decided to come back was when Fergie put out Fergalicious, and it was an interpolation of Supersonic, and that was kind of the green light to like, oh, they still like Supersonic because Fergie just did the whole song basically, you know, and it's huge. So from that point, that's when we said, okay, well, let's get back on there. Let's, start promoting ourselves and say we're back. And so it was due to Fergie that we came back.
Wow. I guess just going back to the slightly, it was just the and I guess maybe this goes back to the fact that you always say that you did it for fun, and it wasn't, and I guess if you were a singer who wanted to create music, it would have been very different to, either people put their family lives on hold, or in the midst of having kids still go back to sing. But I think the motivation for you guys makes a sense as to why you could easily walk away and turn your back from it. And there was never regrets. There was never like, oh man, we should go back. And
no.
Oh,
we were preoccupied with our families. We had husbands and kids, and we were involved in their sports, and it was we just were busy. Like we didn't even think about it.
Yeah. And so, okay, so when Fergie's coming up to for her album, do you get a call from the publishing saying, look, Fergie's trying to come up with this, they want to change it, and you have to give them the permission, or how does that work?
They asked permission. will.i.am had already wrote the song for her. She told us that she was a huge fan. Like she even has a picture of us hanging in her office wall. So she was telling us how she always wanted to do something Supersonic-ish, Yeah. So they came up with Fergalicious, and they asked our permission and gave us our, credit and everything and our pay. And so it was really nice. She's a sweet girl, and it was really nice of her to do that because it really kind of put us back on the map.
When all this is happening, is it then that the kids start to think, oh, Mom, you guys were actually famous? When the Black Eyed Peas and Fergie and will.i.am are reaching out? Oh, yeah. How did what did it make a difference in the family when, years later?
All of our kids are just like, oh, that's just Mom. They don't really get all, about the whole business. And, they come to shows and they're just like, hey, Mom, it's like, it's not really a big deal to them. I don't know why. To me, it would be a huge deal, but to them, it's not.
I know, but by the time will.i.am and Fergie came to reach out to you, you guys hadn't done anything, or were you doing little gigs?
No, we hadn't done anything.
Okay, so that
they were like, that's really cool, but that's still my mom.
okay. And so when that track blows up again internationally, how did the conversation come about? Let's bring back the old gang.
It just was generic. Like, we've always been close. We've always stayed in touch the whole time. My Dania's baby D's oldest daughter is my goddaughter, and my oldest daughter is her goddaughter. Okay. So we've always been very, very close, and we grew up in the same area. So we always stayed in touch, and we're always in contact. So it kind of just generically happened when that song got big. We're like, oh, we should just go do a couple shows, or
just after 20 odd years do a couple shows.
And it's funny, we did, and it's funny too because it was just like riding a bike. Like we didn't even rehearse. I think we rehearsed like one time, and then we started doing shows, and we just haven't looked back. It's just like riding a bike. We just jumped right back on.
Wow, but then how do you get? Do you tell a promoter, or how did you just? Or do you just do a little community?
Well, they started asking for us because of the song. So then we start saying, "Oh yeah, we can do this show." Then you have to figure out in this day and age, like, what do you charge? What do you? So there was a little adjustment period, but we've maintained, and now we love it because our kids are grown. So now we can really take the time when we go to these different places to really enjoy where you are and go and see the town. And before we didn't do that, we were just like, over here, so young, But now we try to take the time to really appreciate where we are and the travel that we do and the things that we see.
Yeah. So, I mean, what about, because if anyone that's, as you watch, if you go to the JJ Fad official Instagram page, you'd see you guys got the outfits and you get the routines. But how did you start to slowly work on a routine, the outfits and choreography and all that stuff? Do you hire somebody to come in and sort you guys out, or what happens?
No, we did it all ourselves.
Okay. Okay.
We did it all ourselves. Like I said, things just come, and I guess because we have that bond, we already know what each other's thinking, and we just share ideas like, oh yeah, let's do that. We did that 20 years ago. We can do that again. So we just kind of do it.
Yeah. Wow. And so, I mean, as I said, so recently, recently you guys have, doing shows here and there. What is the sort of, do you have a long-term plan, or is it just having fun each week when you get a show here and there, or what should we expect?
Oh, well, now we're doing some collabs with people, and we're starting to do new music, but we have so many shows now that we don't have time to actually get into the studio, what we want to do. So right now we're just enjoying our shows, but we are planning on getting back in the studio and doing some new music.
Do you think it'll ever come a time where the shows will be in a position where you can actually make your full-time jobs part-time or not at all? Or
I think so. I love what I do. So we only do weekend shows because we all have jobs and we all love our personal jobs. So, if it came to a point where we just couldn't do them both anymore, then I'm sure we would. But right now we love just doing the weekend stuff.
Okay. And then because and especially now we see a lot of 90s and 80s groups turn around and stuff. Has there been a tour or show that you've been on that you've looked and some of the people that you've been on that you're like, wow, I haven't seen them in a while? Mm-hmm. I mean, who's it been recently that you've been on that that you've really hadn't seen and excited to be on stage with?
Oh, we've been doing a lot of shows recently with Ice Cube, so it's nice to have our family member back with us. So that's fun to always run into him. And then we've been doing stuff with Warren G, and we do stuff with Lisa, and so we've kind of been, reuniting with everybody along the way.
Yeah, so now Dre is one of the richest men in the world. And I'm sure back in those days you wouldn't have seen his production do that. Have you guys been able to see him since you've been reformed as JJ Fad?
Yeah, we talked to him.
Okay. Can you imagine being back in the studio with Dr. Dre and have you asked him to do a track for you?
No, but that would be amazing.
Yeah, because he was on recently. I think he was saying that during the lockdown he made over 200 beats, so he still has some beats around. He could just say,
right. Hand it out like candy. Here you go.
Yeah. He can always do that. But as I said, it's really great just hearing the story. And I think going back to hearing the fact that you had you started as fun, hence when the second album didn't do as well, and it was easy to make that decision of let's just focus on family, compared to most of the other guests that we've had who really went in for it. And so when that failure happened, it became much harder to deal with. And so it's really interesting to see how that has kept you guys on. So for people who want to follow you guys and see where you are, where should they go to sort of find out where you're and tour and stuff?
Okay, well, our website is officialjjfad.com, and then all of our social media is at JJ Fad.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll be able to find us, and all of our accounts are verified, so it'll be easy to make sure you're on the right one. They'll all have the blue check.
Okay. And so as I leave, I always ask my guests that if you were stuck in an elevator and you had it was going to take a couple of hours before they get you out, but they said we'll put a movie on for you to watch while you wait, what would you want to watch?
Probably Coming to America.
Okay. I hope the first one, not the second one.
The first one. We had a track on the first one, so.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. When they go into the when he goes, if we want to be New Yorkers, we have to act like New Yorkers, and they're in the store and you hear that beat, that hip hop beat in the background, that's our song. It's called Coming Correct.
Oh. Okay. And what about those twins who were rapping? It wasn't
that was supposed to be us. But what happened was we were on tour. so we couldn't do it. So I know. So they got other people, but that was supposed to be our part.
Oh, did you guys know? Oh,
yeah, they told us that they asked for it, but we were on the road, so we couldn't do it. But they used the song, and we were like, "That's good enough."
Okay, and that was your song that they were rapping.
Yes.
Wow, legendary. What about Sonic the Hedgehog? Did they use your song for that as well?
Yes, the first one they used it for the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they just for the second one they had us come and perform for the entire production team of all of Paramount Pictures, and they had us do Supersonic, and they had the Hedgehog incorporated in. It was really cool. So we just did that for Hedgehog 2.
Did your family then start to be like, okay, now this is mom's really cool now?
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing because you're thinking 20, 30, 40 years ago. Oh, I don't say 40, 30 plus years ago when you guys came out with the song, and to see how far it has gone. Does it surprise you till today?
Yeah, it does. It's the resurgence is surprising, but I think if anybody would tell you that social media, it's a blessing and it's a curse at the same time. So there's a lot of bad on social media, but for us, it's been a platform to keep pushing stuff out there and keep making our name relevant. And it's really helped us in the long run. So kudos to social media, especially where we're concerned, because we've had a great time. And it's really brought us a long way.
Yeah. I never really got to know what was the inspiration behind Supersonic.
There was Baby D is from New Orleans. So there was and it's not the same Sonic, but there was a restaurant out there called Sonic Burgers, but it's not the one we know today. And so her and her friends were out there and they're just like Supersonic. So they had already had like an idea of that. And that's kind of where it came from. Not the lyrics, but just the title.
Okay. And then when you guys so she brought up the idea, then how did you guys then decide to write around it? What was the inspiration of what you're writing and saying?
We just figured out okay, what is it going to be about? It's not going to be about burgers. We know that. So we're like, okay, we'll just make it about nosy people. So that was the whole premise.
Okay. Yeah. But as I said, it's to see how it has research, not just on social media, but also with the success of Sonic the Hedgehog. My kids are obsessed with the character in the film and stuff, and so it's amazing that they could listen to the song and know the song that I listened to when I was their age and stuff. So that just shows the power of a song.
Absolutely.
Final question is always, what would be your all-time favorite song by any artist?
I like the song Peter Piper by Run DMC.
Okay.
That's like my favorite. I get so hyped when that song comes on.
Are you serious? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like the bells in it.
Wow. I mean, do you think you guys are appreciated by the East and by these legendary 80s?
I think some, not all. But most, like that whole group that we toured with have always had our back from day one. So, and they're all East Coast. So you have some, and then you have some that they're just not going to like the West Coast just because you're from the West Coast. So. Yeah,
I mean, but the ones who you toured with, so Roxanne's, I would say Salt-n-Pepa, who else were in those tours that you guys were on? Those
girls weren't on there. We were the only females.
You were the only females.
It was just Run DMC, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Public Enemy, EPMD, LL Cool J. Sometimes he did spot dates, and then sometimes NWA would come.
Wow, I mean that's some big company.
Yeah, we were the only females.
Wow. I mean, yeah, there's so many of us who would probably will be surprised when they watch and hear the story, and definitely appreciate the time. I know we did want to get the whole group, but it wasn't possible. But hopefully, in the near future we can do so and stuff. But I know that you guys are busy touring the US. Hopefully, for those of us outside in the UK now and the rest of the world, that we get the chance to see you guys make it around and make it over here as well eventually.
Yes, hopefully that'd be great.
Yes, but definitely appreciate the stories and stuff, and hopefully, I mean, throughout the month of August and September, we're going to focus and just be releasing interviews from females in music. So, hence, I wanted to make sure at least we got this so that it can make our schedule, because we want to celebrate just our females in music and just shine a light on them, because most of our guests have been male artists, so it's great to be able to focus on our female artists and stuff.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, I appreciate it, and I'll let you know when it's coming out and stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Nice to meet you.
All right, take care.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.